The music world stood still on October 14, 2025. News broke that Michael Eugene Archer, the man the world knew as D'Angelo, had passed away at just 51 years old. His family confirmed the heartbreaking news, sharing that he had been fighting a long battle with cancer. In their words, he was a shining star of our family whose light has dimmed in this life, but the legacy he leaves behind will burn forever. To understand the weight of this loss, we have to go back to a time long before fame, long before the spotlight, to the roots of a quiet, gifted boy from Richmond, Virginia. Born on February 11, 1974, D'Angelo grew up surrounded by music and faith. His father was a Pentecostal preacher, and the church was his first stage. The sound of choirs, clapping hands, and gospel harmonies filled his earliest memories. That environment shaped his voice, a voice that would one day change R&B forever. As a teenager, he was already performing in talent shows and writing songs that blended gospel soul with raw emotion. He had a gift, not just for melody, but for feeling. Every note he sang seemed to carry a story, a confession, a kind of spiritual weight. In 1995, D'Angelo released his debut album, Brown Sugar. It was a revelation. The album was warm, organic, filled with live instruments and grooves that sounded both classic and new. It stood out in a decade dominated by polished R&B and pop production. With songs like Lady, Cruisin', and Brown Sugar, he reminded the world what soul music could be: honest, sensual, and deeply human. The record went platinum and earned multiple Grammy nominations, marking the official birth of the neo-soul movement. Artists like Erykah Badu, Maxwell, and Lauryn Hill would soon follow, but D'Angelo had lit the flame. His sound was unique, that unmistakable rasp, smooth yet raw, shaped by gospel roots and street rhythms. He didn't just sing, he blent emotion through every note. You could hear joy, pain, and spirituality all at once. But D'Angelo wasn't just making records, he was redefining what soul could mean in the modern world. Then came the year 2000, and with it, Voodoo. It was more than an album, it was an experience. Co-produced with Questlove of The Roots, Voodoo was deep, layered, messy in the best way. It felt alive. And then came that video, Untitled, How Does It Feel? Changed everything. It was just D'Angelo, shirtless, standing before the camera. Intimate, vulnerable, unflinching. There was no distraction, no gimmick, just him, his voice, and the power of presence. That video sparked endless conversation about artistry, sexuality, and the way Black male vulnerability could be shown in mainstream media. It became a cultural moment. The song won the Grammy for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance, and Voodoo won Best R&B Album, debuting at #1 on the Billboard 200. D'Angelo had reached the top. But fame can be heavy, and for D'Angelo, it was. After Voodoo, he stepped away from the spotlight. The pressure, the constant scrutiny, and his own inner struggles pushed him into isolation. For years, he disappeared from public view. Rumors swirled about creative perfectionism, about addiction, about spiritual searching. But what many didn't see was a man wrestling with his purpose. D'Angelo wasn't chasing fame, he was searching for peace. And then, out of the silence, in 2014, he returned. Black Messiah arrived without warning. It was political, urgent, and full of fire. Released during a time of social unrest and protest in America, the album's timing felt divine. Songs like Really Love and The Charade captured both personal passion and collective struggle. It was D'Angelo's reminder that music could be resistance, that soul wasn't just about love, it was about truth. The album won him another Grammy for Best R&B Album and was hailed as one of the most powerful comebacks in modern music history. Even during his quieter years, D'Angelo's influence never faded. His fingerprints were everywhere. In artists like Frank Ocean, Miguel, Anderson .Paak, and Her, you could hear echoes of his tone, his phrasing, his daring honesty in their work. He had changed the blueprint of R&B forever. Beyond the stage, D'Angelo lived a private life. He had a deep relationship with singer Angie Stone, and together they shared a son, Michael Jr., known today as Suavo Twain. Angie and D'Angelo's creative chemistry produced beautiful collaborations, and their love story became part of neo-soul history. Sadly, earlier this same year, Angie Stone passed away in a tragic car accident at 63, a heartbreak that, according to those close to him, affected D'Angelo deeply. He is survived by his children, Michael Jr., his daughter Imani, and another son born in 2010. In recent months, fans had grown worried. D'Angelo pulled out of performances, including the 2025 Roots picnic, citing health issues. What the public didn't know was that he had been privately battling pancreatic cancer. Friends say he faced the illness with quiet strength, spending his final weeks surrounded by family and close friends. When news of his death broke, tributes poured in from every direction. Musicians, actors, and fans across the world shared memories of how his songs shaped their lives. Questlove wrote, "He changed the way we hear time and groove. There was before D'Angelo and after." Erykah Badu called him a light we didn't deserve but got anyway. Even younger stars like Doja Cat and Tyler the Creator posted heartfelt notes about how Voodoo had inspired them to make fearless art. D'Angelo's story was never about chart success or fame. It was about evolution, about the courage to pause, to heal, to rediscover oneself. He once said in an interview, "Sometimes silence is the loudest sound you can make." And maybe that's what made him different. He took his time. He disappeared when he needed to. He spoke only when he had something real to say. And every time he returned, he reminded the world why soul music still matters. Even near the end, he was still creating. In 2018, he released Unshaken, a haunting track written for the video game Red Dead Redemption 2. The song, about perseverance and inner peace, felt like a message from a man who had found acceptance. It reached the top 10 on Billboard's R&B digital chart, proving that even when he wasn't chasing fame, his music still found people. Collaborators like Raphael Saadiq last year revealed that D'Angelo had quietly been working on new music again. "He's in a good place," Saadiq said in 2024. "The music is coming." Whether those recordings will ever be released remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: his voice, his art, and his influence will never fade. 3 albums, dozens of collaborations, countless imitators, and yet there will only ever be one D'Angelo. He showed that vulnerability could be powerful, that masculinity could be soft, and that soul could be revolutionary. He bridged the sacred and the sensual, the spiritual and the street, a man who turned emotion into art. And so, as the world mourns his passing, we also celebrate the journey of an artist who dared to be real in a world that often rewards the fake. From the pews of a Virginia church to the biggest stages in the world, D'Angelo sang his truth, and in doing so, he changed ours. Though his light has dimmed, the warmth remains. In every melody, every groove, every heart that ever swayed to Brown Sugar or found healing in Untitled. Rest in power, D'Angelo. The world may have lost your presence, but your soul still sings.